Phyllis, Nikki, and Ashley close in on Diane as Chance breaks the news to Abby. Series starring The Young and the Restless. In today's episode of The Young and the Restless, Devin makes an impassioned plea to Amanda. Summer and Jack form a partnership, and Diane spills the beans to Kyle. Nikki and Phyllis are curious as to why Ashley has gathered them to the Abbott estate. According to Ashley, it was smart to track down Tucker because he spilled the beans that Diane and Jeremy Stark were involved in criminal activity in Los Angeles. Phyllis was already aware of it. Nikki can't place where she's heard of a man named Jeremy Stark before. Ash probably caught wind of the news that he's getting out of jail shortly. After reading the press release, Nikki speculates that Tucker was using Diane's desire to retrieve her riches as a bargaining chip. Phyllis was skeptical of her account of a low-key existence in Los Angeles. Nikki is eager to get in touch with Talia, but Phyllis is worried that Tucker has set up a trap. As Ashley tells it, she sought to confront Jack about it, but Jack sided with Diane. He just can't accept her for who she actually is. This is the time we have to get her. Diane reads the report of Jeremy Stark's impending release from jail with a look of dread on her face at Jabbat. Soon after, Kyle shows there, and she initiates conversation. Is there something wrong? He asks himself. Jack inquires to Summer at Society about Harrison's condition, who is doing well. He tells her she's excelling at Marchetti and invites her to hang out with him. Summer says that Kyle deserves some of the credit, and when they're in harmony, Jack can't help but smile. There are some points of disagreement, she muses. He thinks Diane is the main obstacle. The new information has been revealed, and she wants to know his reaction. Asked how he is feeling, Jack responded, exhausted. He has been trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but recent developments have made that more challenging than ever. Summer has lost all faith in her. I can't get any further with her. Jack claims that everyone, including Diane, is sick of it. Summer is afraid that her criminal past will catch up with her, and that they will be a threat to Kyle. The climate change crisis worries Americans. When Devin gets home, he finds Amanda preparing to go. The sight of the luggage bothers him. She expresses her displeasure by telling him she would have to order replacement items if she forgets anything. Devin worries if her pace is too quick. Amanda tells him that she is retiring from her position at Chancellor Winters because she no longer sees a reason to remain there. Devin is hoping for a chance to have a conversation about it. While Abby and Dom were alone at the Chancellor estate, Maria stopped by with a present and the news that she and Tessa were waiting to hear back from a young expectant mom who wanted to place her baby for adoption. Abby paces and watches the door while murmuring something about how thrilling it is. With the gift still unopened, Maria wonders whether something is amiss. Abby gives her an update, saying that Chance didn't return home last night. Abby reveals to Maria that Chance was out on a stakeout. Another one, Maria wants to know. She had hoped things would settle down and that his work schedule would become more consistent, but she is grateful that he is not gone for extended periods of time. He needs to feel the same passion for his work that Ray did. While Maria did miss Tessa while she was away on tour, she has found that she actually enjoys having Tessa around more than she did before. Since it was cancelled, she feels terrible about having thought that. The opinion of Abby is that it is reasonable, and Maria knows it stinks that Chance values his career more than he does his relationship with Dom and her. Abby agrees, saying, "It's tough, and it's making our marriage rocky." Kyle goes into an office with Diane at Jabbat and says, "What now?" She feels like he's waiting for the other shoe to drop with the way he's talking to her. Kyle believes she needs to prepare for a temporary decrease in their faith in her. Diane scowls grimly. She's not sure how much longer she can put up with the lingering suspicion. Diane had the impression that she ought to leave. Perhaps I shouldn't have come back. Kyle speculates that she may be trying to manipulate him into pleading with her to stay. Diane probes his thoughts by asking how he would react if he were always observed. Furthermore, there are many who wish to have her evicted from the area. Amanda feels that there's nothing worth discussing at Devin's house. She's given the incident she and Chance accidentally witnessed some thought, and she's come to the conclusion that it was entirely unplanned and unexpected. To Devin, that's a huge compliment because it's the honest truth. Amanda chimes in to say that they never stopped doing it. Assuming he is morally upright, we must conclude that sincere emotions were at play. It's time for her to accept the reality that he and Abby are more closely linked than he's letting on. Though Devin claims he and Abby are simply friends, Amanda doesn't believe him. Perhaps the opportunity was created by her departure. At first I didn't see it coming, but now that I do, it all makes perfect sense. Despite what Devin claims, he cannot see how that may be possible. Amanda points out to him that they are now parents to a child together. That's impossible for me to match up to. Chance informs Sharon that the night was long at Crimson Lights. She sits down in the booth with him and talks about how late Ray would stay out at the beginning of their relationship. Having the position would make her green with envy. Abby, according to Chance, shares this sentiment on occasion. Sharon caught the conclusion of an argument between them the other night. It appears that your work may be the source of Abby's stress. Nikki, at the Abbott residence, is convinced that they need evidence of Diane's ties to Stark. Phyllis says that Tucker needs evidence if he plans to use it to intimidate Diane. Ashley claims he made the statement to show his commitment to her. I've worked my way up to where he eats out of my hand. She offers enlisting the help of Victor's squad, but Phyllis dismisses the idea. Nikki spins around to give her a glance. Phyllis insists that they go see Diane personally and instills some respect and dread in that whore. Ashley agrees. Diane complains to Kyle about working with Phyllis, Nikki, and Ashley at Jabot. I just can't take it any longer. The time has come for me to give up. She sulks. I'm done. Noting that she is not a quitter, Kyle wonders aloud, did those ladies accomplish something? Tucker did what? Abby tells Mariah at the Chancellor estate that she had hoped everything would be okay once Chance returned. Maria wants to know, so what is it that is actually going on? Abby says he puts work above her and Dominic. Mariah doubts if she is asking him to disregard his work responsibilities. Abby understands that this is a priority for him, but she may not share it. Even if he wanted to, Mariah doubts he could abandon his pledge and ethics. How Abby feels about the man she married in comparison to her idealized version of him is the deciding factor. In a conversation with Sharon at Crimson Lights, Chance reveals that Abby has an inflated idea of who he is and doesn't understand him at all. There is a sense of betrayal in her eyes whenever the topic of work arises. There's no way he could ever give it up, in his opinion. Is that what Abby actually wants? Sharon asks in disbelief. Why would you want to give it up? The odds maker thinks she'd be a lot cheerier if she did. He is skeptical that they will be able to compromise on anything. I'm not sure I want to become the kind of guy Abby claims to want. Sharon tells Chance, nobody can make anyone else change, and Chance apologizes for unloading on her. I've witnessed a lot of failed attempts at relationships. She wishes they could reconcile, but she knows remaining and fighting an unwinnable battle is futile. There are times when people need something that no one else can provide. It's nice to hear someone be so forthright, and Chance thinks she is. Jack reassures Summer at Society that she has handled the situation with Diane with dignity. He's concerned that she's put too much pressure on herself to ensure Kyle's safety. His pupils are enormously dilated. Summer hopes so, but she also sees how much his happiness stems from Diane's homecoming. She's worried that he won't be able to see danger because of how he's feeling. For his part, Jack promises they will always have his back. Diane delivers Kyle the Jeremy Stark development at Jabot. She identified him as the man she met in Los Angeles whom she had previously mentioned to him. Since Kyle is not the suspect, he does not know why she is so worried. Diane fears that the bad trio will figure it out and use it against her. When asked how she could be linked to Stark, Kyle expresses doubt. She calls out, Tucker. Kyle is still confused as to why this is such a huge deal. Exactly what are they going to do? I mean, what is he capable of? Diane is afraid the dangerous Stark would believe she had a hand in putting him away and will seek her out for revenge. To which Kyle responds, did you? She stares at me in shock. What? Did you help put Stark in jail? Asks Kyle. After arriving at Devin's house, Amanda reveals to him that she has news about something that occurred after he became Dominic's father. You'll always have something to remind you of Abby. How much ever you tell me you love me, there will always be a void in your heart that I can never satisfy. Devin insists this isn't an issue of her not measuring up, and Amanda lashes out, well, maybe you're not enough for me. Even though he loved her, he still cheated on her with Abby. Maria leaves the Chancellor residence as Chance pulls up. Abby welcomes him home and admits that her thoughts have been on him. Since his return from Spain, she has placed heavy demands on him while neglecting to consider his side of the marriage. Abby is praying that they can put what happened with Divan behind them and figure things out. In the Abbott home, Ashley speculates that Stark might have wondered the same thing if she were in his shoes. This is something that both Nikki and Phyllis agree is not good for Diane. Make her think he's coming for her, and maybe she'll finally get the courage to leave Genoa City, where she feels trapped by her own needs. To herself, Phyllis thinks, this time for good. Diane tells Kyle at Jabat that she betrayed Stark to rescue herself and get back to Kyle. She's afraid he's been waiting to exact his vengeance, and Phyllis, Nikki, and Ashley will serve as the match. Kyle will protect her from harm. Diane encircles him in reassurance. The Abbotts guard their own. While visiting the Abbott residence, Nikki suggests to Diane that they begin by informing her of their knowledge of her past with Stark. Phyllis notes that Diane has successfully wiggled out of more dire situations in the past. Ashley concurs. She suggests recruiting Victor's gang to investigate whether or not there is evidence connecting Diane to Stark's criminal activities. This is something that both Nikki and Phyllis agree is not good for Diane. Make her think he's coming for her, and maybe she'll finally get the courage to leave Genoa City, where she feels trapped by her own needs. To herself, Phyllis thinks, this time for good. Diane tells Kyle at Jabat that she betrayed Stark to rescue herself and get back to Kyle. She's afraid he's been waiting to exact his vengeance, and Phyllis, Nikki, and Ashley will serve as the match. Kyle will protect her from harm. Diane encircles him in reassurance. The Abbotts guard their own. While visiting the Abbott residence, Nikki suggests to Diane that they begin by informing her of their knowledge of her past with Stark. Phyllis notes that Diane has successfully wiggled out of more dire situations in the past. Ashley concurs. She suggests recruiting Victor's gang to investigate whether or not there is evidence connecting Diane to Stark's criminal activities. They've got her with both of those under their control. Phyllis asks with glee, all agreed? According to Nikki, they should have another talk with Ms. Jenkins. A common grin spreads across their faces. When Kyle visits Jack at Jabat, she inquires as to whether or not Jack is aware that she was involved in Stark's incarceration. She hasn't informed him yet because she is afraid that Summer would tell Phyllis if she finds out. When it comes to his marriage, Kyle is completely open. Dan yells, Kyle, can you please? Phyllis must not find out. She knows best how to convey this tale, and he must have faith in her judgment. Jack and Summer come in. Diane is now on her way out of the workplace. Right immediately, Ashley sends her a message asking her to come over because they need to talk about something crucial. When Amanda visits Divan, he begs her to give it a few days, but she yells that there's no turning back. That he hurts her is something Divan despises. I simply want you to know that my feelings for you haven't changed, and that I love you very much. But everything has, Amanda retorts. Accept it as a fact of life, all right? He gets up and marches to the door, turns around to look at her, and then leaves. He shook his head and seemed upset as he stood outside the door. When Amanda gets home, she starts crying and starts pounding the couch. It's too late, Chance tells Abby at the Chancellor Mansion. The two of them can't make up now. No, how can you say that? Abby cries out in shock. Without any resentment, he admits to himself that she is better off with Divan. She finally found the ideal man in him. He'll never amount to that. Ultimately, Abby, it's over.